Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of March. I hope you are well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot for you today. If this reading resonates and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended at the end. The link is in the description box. I'll take you over to Vimeo. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say. So let's have a look. Can I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? Oh, there's the first one. We've got the Ace of Cups. Oh, in your recent past. About present energy for Cancer, please. Thank you. We have the Strength card and the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, which is beautiful. And what's coming towards Cancer, we have the 10 of Pentacles. We've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. Well, this is interesting. It's often a card that's associated with a lack of movement, but I don't feel like that's particularly relevant for you. It is also a card of seeing things from a different perspective, and as I speak, I feel like that's the one that's more relevant in this situation. We've got the 2 of Wands sitting behind that. And so I don't feel like the crossroads is in front of you. I feel like the crossroads is behind you. I think that you have already picked the road down which you have chosen to walk. And you just do feel like you're seeing things differently now. Yeah, look at that. So let's have a look and see what is going on here with all of these. Can I have 3? No, some clarifiers for the Ace of Cups, please. Thank you. We've got 2 8s. We have got the 8 of Cups and the 8 of Wands. There's a definite sense of you having reclaimed power to yourself here. This is a really big feeling that I've got. Tell me about this honking train. Tell me about this 4 of Pentacles and the Strength card, please. 10 of Pentacles again and the 10 of Cups. Behave, Cancer. What are you doing? Let's get one more for that because it's clarifying 2 cards. Can I have one more card for that Knight of Cups, Pisces energy? There it is. And what about this 10 of Pentacles here, Cancer? What's this about? We've got the Tower. Oh, we've got 3 cards. We've got the Tower, we've got the Ace of Cups, and we've got the Knight of Wands. Tower is in reverse though, which I actually really like here for you. See, there it is, peeking behind that. So what do we have at the bottom of the deck? We have the 2 of Pentacles, followed by the Wheel of Fortune, which I felt almost certain was going to show up at some point. I did see it while I was shuffling, and usually when I see a card and I kind of home in on it like that, it's going to appear somewhere. The 2 of Pentacles talks about getting things in order, right? It's that juggling energy of sometimes processing, but it feels like adjustment, a period of adjustment for you off the back of some rather surprising events, possibly opportunities that have arisen for you, but certainly things that you didn't really see coming. Like there's big themes of crescendo and release. Maybe that's happened a couple of times with you in the recent wee while, where things have kind of been pushed to a head and then it's been released, and then something else is pushed to a head and it's been released. It's like there's a tension here that is just ebbing away from your life generally, on account of the fact that things keep being brought to a head and then released again. The funny thing, where is my there it is, my little selenite stick. I need something to fiddle with while I'm talking. So in your recent past, we have this Ace of Cups here. Now, a lot of readers will tell you quite correctly that this indicates new love. You know, this is a new love coming into your life. Yes, that's correct. And it can be a new love for a person, which is the way that we usually see it depicted, or it can be for a thing, it can be for a circumstance, or it can be for yourself. Like, I tend to see it as a renewed relationship with oneself. Sometimes I see it differently, but more often than not, it's about cracking open the potential, one's potential for love and forgiveness and for compassion, really. And almost invariably that needs to start with the self, and it starts with that point where we start. How many times can you start in one sentence? where we begin to look at ourselves more compassionately. For some reason, when we forgive ourselves and when we are kinder to ourselves, it unlocks in us an ability to be kinder to other people. Yeah? We've got the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Wands here. Now, separately, this talks about leaving something behind, right? The way that the cups are shown here, there is very obviously one missing, right? And that is the Ninth Cup. And the Ninth Cup is personal fulfillment. It is personal happiness, right? It's taking responsibility for your emotional well-being, and it's all of the things that make you happy, right? Understanding that needs to be self-generated. It comes from you. Interestingly enough, we have a spare little ace here that can sit in the middle of it. We've got you moving away from something and moving towards something else by way of an opening up of the heart that's going on. And it does feel like it's entirely self-generated, but also self-directed. And this is the important thing here. But the fact that we've got two eights is the thing that makes me feel like it's... there's a deep feeling for you of reclaiming your power, right? Bringing things back to you, bringing yourself back to you. But it's like you've left one thing and you've gone almost immediately into something else, but it doesn't feel like it's been like a rebound relationship or anything like that. It's almost like you closed out certain things. Oh, right, don't want to deal with this anymore. I understand that I have more self-respect and whatever. Than to stay in this situation, and now I'm going to go elsewhere. And as you have gone elsewhere, so what has happened is these new things are just flooded in for you, right? There's a with the Eight of Wands coming into land, it's like it looks like that, but it's almost like riding the crest of a wave, you know. Let's have a look and see what Triple Goddess has to say about this. Give us some context for this, please. Eight of Cups, Eight of Wands. We've got the Ten of Cups again. Wow. And we've got the Nine of Pentacles now. Now, this is important for you because it's so much to do with the self. There's the Justice card at the bottom of the deck there. You know, whenever we're talking about cards numbered 9, we're talking about the individual. The way that you manage your resources, the way that you manage your emotions, and the way that you take responsibility for them. And how those two things combine together in this Ten of Cups, in the relationships that you have, you know, the communities, the situations where it is more than just you. Friends, family, even to an extent, you know, work colleagues and stuff like that. Those kind of situations. Anywhere where there is an emotional component. And no, sometimes we can get very close to work colleagues. I've certainly had a number of very close work colleague friends over the years. But because you're Cancer, and because you're so sensitive, and because you are water, you know, literally your card is the Queen of Cups, and that is water of water, right? Queens are water, obviously cups are water. It's like receptivity squared. You're so sensitive that if there's any issues in your environment whatsoever, the chances are that you're going to feel them. And a previous version of you would have internalized them and then used it as a stick to beat yourself with. I feel like the presence of the Ace of Cups is actually indicating that there's a different process going on now. You are still sensitive to all of these things, but rather than taking them in and hurting yourself with them, Hanged Man, what we've got here is a completely different perspective. What we've got is you almost processing and releasing straight away. So it's like, this is not my thing, but I understand what it is, I'm sensitive to what it is, and I release it, I let it go. It's almost, yeah, there's something very similar to the kind of energy that Pisces is known for, where you take on the world's troubles and you process them and you release them. But that's a very heavy burden, but it seems to be being held very lightly with you now, because there's this almost unassailable sense of self that is sitting in the middle of it. Yeah. Now, when we come to your current energy, we have the Four of Pentacles and we have the Strength card here. Now, the Strength card talks about your personal growth, right? It's a card of Leo, and it is a card of great internal strength. And one of the ways in which one can be strong, and there are a number, and none of them involve wrestling lions, is the act of releasing and letting things go. That is... When people used to say let it go, I thought back in the past, right? I thought that what they were doing there was showing that they had absolutely no idea of the level of shit that people have to deal with, because how could you possibly let it go, right? And it was only as I got older, and I guess relatively recently in the grand scheme of things, only really in the last 5 years, that I've really understood the profundity of that statement, even though it is so incredibly simple, like let it go. Well, yeah, it's so simple that it's actually almost seems stupid at times, or, you know, shallow. Or, you know, this person can't possibly feel things to the depth that I can if they think that you can let this go. But like so many truths, you know, there's no need to gild them. They just are what they are, and let it go is one of the most profound things that you can take into yourself and hold as you know, your own personal aphorism. Is that the word that I want? Maybe. Sorry, your own personal maxim, anyway. And what we've got underneath here is the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, and the Knight of Cups there. Now, this is interesting, not least because it's the second time that we've got the Ten of Cups appearing, and it's the first of 2 times that we've got the Ten of Pentacles appearing too, which is quite a cluster. And tens in the tarot indicate completions, they indicate endings, right? Sometimes they are always kind of like the pinnacle of something. In the Ten of Swords, it's the pinnacle of you know, mental pain, I guess. But here we have material fulfillment, and here we have emotional fulfillment. We've got, you know, both individually and collectively, these are known as the happy family cards often, right? But what I feel that this is talking about for you is a release of the need for perfection now. And it's an interesting thing, because honestly, when I saw these cards, I wasn't sure how I was going to interpret them at all until the words started coming out, and then I can see what it is. My sister always used to say that the worst thing that ever happened to her was an interest in Disney films when she was a kid, because it gave her a completely unrealistic view of how the world worked, right? She's as autistic as I am, right? I read books, she watched Disney films. An unrealistic view of the way that the world worked, but also the way that relationships worked, right? You know, just how they functioned all together. And she said she always felt like she was kind of stuck in this weird place of wanting to be a strong, independent woman, but also kind of wishing for Prince Charming to come and sweep her off her feet. You know, she was kind of holding on to these unrealistic, rather unobtainable goals, and anything else felt like it wasn't right, you know. Now, your situation is slightly different in so much as, you know, you've had the pinnacle of perfection that you've always wanted. And for a lot of you, the relationships that you've gone into have in no way been representative of what it was that you had in mind when you went into that relationship, right? But it's almost like you were able to fill the gaps, because you're such an emotional creature, such a sensitive creature, right? You'll just like stuff all of this love and all of this emotion into places where there weren't any. And where things were less than perfect, it's okay, because you could imagine them to be so. You could feel them to be so, you know, and to a degree, for a long time, you were able to kind of fool yourself in that way about it. But, you know, we've talked a lot on this channel about the effect of narcissistic parents, and cancers always seem to have had often a narcissistic mother. And and just how that shapes you and the way that you turn, the way that you show up in relationships later on. I feel like you're releasing all of those unrealistic expectations, or like the Disney-fied versions of expectations, because quite frankly, in a lot of ways, like, that's perfection. That's actually what we all want right there. We want to be happy and we want to be wealthy. Right? There are probably other things too, like we want to be healthy. That would be something that would be indicated here too. We want all of those things, but we almost none of us are given the tools to actually affect their birth into the world at all. In fact, the way that we kind of go around, we almost entirely ensure that we don't get these things for ourselves. But there's 10 cups there. It's a full Disney moment. But it's come up with the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups has got just one cup here. And it's come out underneath the Strength card. The only cup that you need is the Ace of Cups, and that feels to me like what you have discovered for yourself here. You don't need a huge rainbow in the sky. You don't need 10 cups painted across it. You don't need these unrealistic expressions of what it is to be alive and what it is to be strong and what it is to be successful. You just need to be able to carry this cup here around with you and put it where you want it, basically, and it goes into you first. After that, if there's anything left over, then it is possible for you to kind of hand it over to others. What's left to hand over to others? Tell me about this Knight of Cups, please. Page of Swords. Mind's completely expanded beyond what you have thought you wanted. Now I feel like your aims and your goals and everything are all shifting, almost like they're on quicksand at the moment. It's just like everything's just not on quicksand, but like on shifting sands. But the thing that remains consistent throughout is you. And so you've been able to walk away from some things and you've been able to walk into others, and that's fine. And there's been that kind of consistent contentment that has been almost illusory up until this point, but it's now here, and you're ambling through everything without feeling like you need to anchor yourself to any of it, because it's all anchored in here now. And I do feel like this is changing spectacularly. The way that you show up in the relationships that you have, the way that you approach new relationships, and by relationships I don't just mean romantic ones, I mean in all respects, like I said. I've already said that, right? For water signs particularly, your interactions with other people are the things that are the most important, right? And actually I think that everybody could do with learning that point. I think that the people are where we learn our life's lessons. And certainly nobody lies on their deathbed and wishes that they'd worked a little harder or kept their house a little cleaner. It's always like, I wish I spent more time with the people that I really cared about, even if we're not doing anything, even if we're not advancing anywhere. I wish we'd done that. But it seems to me like what you've done, it's the 9 of Wands there, is put yourself in a position where you are able to actually better receive the value of worthy people around you, where you're not over investing in people, you're not allowing people to transgress your boundaries. And that was a difficult thing, but I think that this is something that you're weathering a lot easier now. This is something that has become almost reflexive within you, right? Now, here are my boundaries. I tend to them. They're very good. If you overstep my boundaries, it's going to make me a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to say, please don't transgress my boundaries, right? But it doesn't fill you with horror in the way that it used to before. Because you've worked so very hard on your rejection issues. There's 8 of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles there too. It's like one of those situations where, if you keep your boundaries well tended and everybody knows exactly where they are. The likelihood of you being put in a position where you have to, abjectly reject someone are minimized greatly. Equally, if you respect other people's boundaries and you don't overinvest, there isn't the opportunity for them to reject you in quite the same awful way as has happened to you in the past. Because everybody is keeping themselves right, and you're not needing the validation of other people, and so you're not throwing everything that you have into another person only for them to turn around and go, actually, well, this isn't really working for me, whatever it is. Right? This is true value. This is a true mental expansion that has happened for you, which is finding its expression in just the way that you are living right now, which is wonderful. And we'll come to what's coming towards you in March. We've got this incredible scene of the Ten of Pentacles again. And that can be lots of stuff. Right? That can be home, for sure. It can be your business. But because I see the Pentacles as energetic currency, right? Anything that you are capable of investing becomes a pentacle, right? Your time, your care, your effort, your money, your love, any of those things. And so the Ten of Pentacles then becomes representative of that which you choose to commit to, that which you choose to invest all of your pentacles in. And not because you're looking for validation from anybody else, not because of any reason actually, other than this brings value to your life and this is something that you want to work on. Now, we've got the Tower card. But like I said, it kind of showed up in the reverse, which is interesting because that way around it's those sudden shocking events that kind of pull the rug out from underneath you. This feels like you're kind of sidestepping it rather gracefully actually. But let's look at these two cards here, because if this were a love reading, I would be feeling very uncomfortable about this coupling here, particularly if this happened to be this way up as well, right? It's not, don't worry, because this is an energy of non-commitment right here, right? Between you and I, right? It's the fuckboy of the tarot, that's what they call it, because the Knight of Wands doesn't stick around, but every card in the tarot has a negative or a positive connotation, right? And the positive one of this one is about living in the moment. Yes, it doesn't worry about consequences because he is a being that is entirely present at all times, right? So thinking about the future is not something that the Knight of Wands does. Thinking about the past is not something that the Knight of Wands does. He exists right here, right now. The next, Ace of Cups. I feel is speaking to a level of spontaneity that you are experiencing right now. Because you are present, it feels to me that there is an opportunity that is kind of energetically circling you at the moment. Now, whether this is the opportunity for a relationship, that's possible. But it feels like it's something more than that. It feels like it's something bigger than that. Because for most of you, I feel like you've taken relationships and the primacy of relationships, that is to say, very deep, significant other kind of relationships, kind of taken those off the boil a little bit and just kind of just put them to the side here while I work on something else, while I work on what it is that I'm trying to build for myself here. Tell me about this Ten of Pentacles. Come here, little card, where have you gone? Ace of Pentacles. What do we have here? Hanged Man. Yeah. And this is interesting because it feels like there's a very subtle and yet very, very powerful shift that has occurred within you. You know that relationships are important. We all know that they're actually the only thing that really, really matter. And that, to that end, in some ways, that hasn't changed with you. What has changed is the way that you're going about it, right? We'll notice that we've got the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. It's that Leo energy. It's very driven. Very, very driven. But it feels like you've made space to do something else. Now, the people are still important, and likely the people are still involved with whatever it is that you're planning, but it's not the be-all and end-all now. Even despite this here, this does not feel like a new relationship or interest in a new relationship. This feels like something else that you're trying to build, and you may be using, you may have help from people, you may be using contacts that you have, or leaning on friends for a bit of assistance because you've got a vision with something. This is what I'm feeling really strongly. There's a vision here that you are trying to bring about, and the Ten of Pentacles is there, but they don't just usually spring up fully formed. I mean, sometimes it can. Inheritance, this is called the inheritance card sometimes, so obviously that would be like money dropping in your lap, or a lottery win or something like that. More, this is an opportunity to start putting into practice, to start building what it is that you have visualized. You need a starting point, you need an initial point of investment, and that's what's going on here. It feels very opportune, and it's because you are aware, right, that there are things that are for just you. And bring other people on board, that's fine, but there's something up here and in here that is just you, that you are wanting to build, and you want to invest your time in that, not in the other things, right? Bring the people in as you need to. If you need their help, then that's great. If you just value their company, that's great too. But there's no leaning on them for validation. None of that. There's something very, very original coming out of you here, Cancer. And I like it. I like what it's all about. Tell me about this tarot card, please. This tarot card. What do we have? We've got the Seven of Wands. We've got the Three of Wands. And got the Devil card in reverse. This is interesting. I feel, there's the World card at the bottom of the deck here, and that's the end of a cycle, right? You definitely have moved out of an old cycle and you're in a new one. I do feel like that. But there's the Wheel of Fortune as well. I think something might unexpectedly come to an end for you in the month of March, but just as quickly, something, when one door closes, another opens, it's that kind of energy, but it's almost like simultaneous. Something ends unexpectedly, but there's no opportunity to mourn it, and no desire, more importantly, to mourn it, because instead there's this opportunity that is arriving fully fledged at your door that you are able to see, and there's no fear. You're going straight for it. We've got this Seven of Wands here, we've got the Three of Wands, and we've got the Devil in reverse. Like, no fear whatsoever. It just feels like you're going to pounce on it. Tell me about the Knight of Wands. Key. Four of Pentacles. Tell me about the Knight of Wands. Key. Two cards together. Yeah. You've got the Judgment card and the Nine of Cups. Remember I said right at the beginning that you were going looking for your Nine of Cups. Whatever's ending with that Seven of Pentacles there, it's not something that you're actually really that interested in keeping going anyway, because your attention is elsewhere. But I feel the need to tell you this is something to keep under your hat just for now. This is not necessarily something that you want to share with lots of other people. I mean, those close, trusted people, that's fine. But for the most part, it's kind of like get your head down and start working on it, whatever it is. Because there's an elevation coming here. There's an ascendance of sorts. And it all comes down to knowing what is actually important, what actually matters. When you matter, Cancer, that much is completely clear to me. And you're willing to give where you've got some to spare. But March is taking you towards something really rather exciting. Now I'm here for that all day long. I'm very excited for you. This looks great. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If you would like to join me over at Vimeo, we're going to look at this a little bit deeper. Please do feel free. Like I said, the link is in the description box. If not, not to worry. I'll be back in a very, very short amount of time, I should think, for the March mid-month readings. So, know that I love you all very, very much. Take care, and I will see you soon.